Welcome back to Game 4, Louisiana versus Iowa. In case you've missed the first three games, Iowa, who is the lower seed here, does have a 3-0 lead, and we could be looking at the very first and possibly only 4-0 series in A's tournament. If you've missed the first three games, the two teams have kind of both played up to their strengths, and Iowa has just come out on top as just being extremely dominant when it comes to hitting and home runs. Today, for Louisiana, we have C- starting pitcher Jalen Parks. In the regular season, Jalen Parks went 2 wins to 4 losses with an ERA of just under 4. And she will be going up against Maximilian Rathskeller, who is a C pitcher for Iowa. In the regular season, he went 3 wins to 7 losses and an ERA of almost 6. So this is a potential game where, Louisiana technically has the pitching disadvantage when it comes to overall rank here and skill bars, but the bars are very close actually, and we will see what they can get done. So just as a quick reminder, this is an elimination match, or at least a potential elimination match. If Iowa gets it, they will be progressing to the next round. So without further ado, let's get into it. Here we go. So unlike the last series, we don't have any serious injuries so far in this, which will help out both teams. Last series, both of the teams that we were following had injuries that impacted their teams. So here we go. So I'm going to be referring to this guy as Max just because his his name is really long, but we're going to start things off here with a home run. All right. So Louisiana will say, you know what? We're not going home early in this tournament. They're going to have to get a 4-game run straight here to remain alive. But they start things out there with Hunter Rogers, their second baseman, cranking out a home run. And that is another huge shot, but that one is going to be just short of reaching the wall. And Macho Man will get the first out. Max here has pretty much even bars across the 3 main pitching categories of velocity, jump, and accuracy. So we'll probably see a mix of pitches coming from him. Charles O'Connor is now stepping up. Charles O'Connor so far has had a very decent season, series here. Louisiana just overall has not been able to get things going as a team. If you skipped the first 3 games, or if you need a reminder, Louisiana has got a lot of players on base. I think at least 2 of the games they had double-digit hits, but they just haven't been able to get those players to actually cross home plate. That is called an out. So Hunter Rogers for Louisiana comes out and cranks out that first home run to give them an early lead. And now Iowa will be playing from behind, which they haven't had to do too much so far this series. Jalen Parks does have the K-Dud negative trait. So we will see. She starts things out here with a strikeout, though. David Macho Man, the S-rated player for Iowa, so far is having a very solid series, is going to try to lock in his team in the next round, and look at that. That is going to tie things up early. David Macho Man says, Louisiana, I hate to break it to you, but we're sending you guys home after 4. Almost a 400-foot hit there, went 399 feet. As a reminder, normally throughout this tournament, at least what we would expect, since most starting pitchers in the 4th game are going to be probably C-, but at least in the C range. These fourth games of series are potentially going to be big scoring matchups just because the pitching is not going to be ideal. A nice grounder. Bradley doesn't let that get past him into the wall, so it does hold him to a single. Mr. Avery is one of the players for Iowa that has not been able to get much going here. He gets a nice hit there. Does it have the distance? Nope, it's a little bit short. That will end the inning. So exciting first inning. We're starting things off here with scores for both teams. And Louisiana will be starting things off with Stewart. Start things off here with 2 strikes. Top swing foul. Rathskeller needs to be careful because he is pitching a lot of these balls low in that strike zone, and he's going up against that low pitch positive trait. But there we go. Louisiana is going to start things off by getting somebody on first. That is Stewart over there on first. Bradley so far is actually playing very well. He gets a grounder. That's probably going to result in a double play here. And that does result in a double play. Melissa McMaster stepping up. She's another player in this series that has not been able to get much going. And she's been up to bat in a couple of very key situations for Louisiana. But she just gets caught looking completely. And that ends the top of the second. Iowa will be starting things off here with Heath, who's their 6th in the batting order, right fielder. As a reminder, in the regular season, this guy was tied for 2nd in home runs for the team at 16. He gets a nice grounder, and Bradley will field it, throw it into 2nd. But Iowa now has a player on first. Zoe, their first baseman, another player that's had a very decent series so far. They're going to expect a takeoff here. A quick look. So Heath in the regular season, he actually stole 8 times. He was caught 0 times. So he is a little bit of a threat there. That ball gets caught by McMaster right at the wall. And that does send Heath back to first. Shiny Nicholson, technically speaking, during the regular season, was the worst batter on this Iowa team. Oh, let's see here. Rogers is not going to go for the double play. His dive there slowed him up enough. What I was going to say, though, Nicholson, technically their weakest batter, but even then, Nicholson and this Iowa team are just such a dominant batting team that Shiny Nicholson is still probably a middle batter on most other teams. And that does end the inning. So Max going into the 3rd inning here is going to be starting out at 31 pitches, which is decent. A little bit higher than you would want, especially with both of these teams. Ooh, missed dive. Will they get it over in time? They will. Both of these teams have very lacking relief pitching situations. So the longer that these players can remain in, the better. Bobby Hughes gets a nice hit, and that will get him one. There's only 1 out. And Hunter Rogers, who started things out here with a cranked out of the park home run, He's stepping back up. Interesting there, Louisiana does take off. He does not have the best speed bar, although that takeoff almost worked in their favor there, but it was just right at the wrong point for Louisiana to make that work. Iowa is going to be starting at the top of their batting order here with Riley Rojas again.
That's outside.
Ball gets popped right past the pitcher. Bradley fields it, and Iowa will start with somebody on, and David Macho Man up to bat. David Macho Man so far in this series is batting almost a 500. He has 3 home runs, 4 RBIs. If this ends in these 4 games, you have to assume that he's in the mix for MVP of the series. We can never call it too early. He does get struck out there. Escargo, their third baseman. If you remember in Game 1, Iowa did have a couple of fielding problems. I believe Escargo had at least 1 or 2 of them. But they've been able to crank out these wins regardless. Parks gets 2 strikeouts in this inning so far. George Wynn steps up. He's having a great series as well. He's batting a 400, has yet to get a home run or an RBI. Starts things off here with 3 balls. And he knew that one was going to be coming in the strike zone and swung, and that is going to be his first home run. That is going to be a 2-run home run, correct? I believe that they only had somebody over on first. Yep, there we go. And Iowa, now with a 2-run lead, this is looking more like an elimination game, but we will see what Jalen Parks can do. Oh, that ball was hit just perfectly between the first and second baseman. So Iowa will continue this 3rd inning. Alfonso Heath steps up. And there we can see that Avery over on first does have that stealer trait. So in a situation like right now, I was going to say, if that got to a full count, we would expect to see a steal, but here we go. Zoe will now step up with 2-1. That's a grounder, and that will end the inning. So Louisiana does fall behind here. They will need to play with at least need to get 2 runs in order to keep themselves in this, but we are in the 4th, so 2 runs is definitely something that they can come back from. Nice grounder past the second baseman, and Louisiana gets on base. Nielsen is now over on first. He does have a decent speed bar. In the regular season, he stole 15 times, and he was caught 3 times. And there we go. He gets caught in the rundown, though. He was going to go for it. So now Case Rosas here with that whiffer trait. His contact bar is basically 0. And he goes and strikes out. Charles O'Connor, one of the players on Louisiana that could definitely turn the tides here. Slow grounder. And that is going to end the top of the 4th. Going into the bottom of the fourth here, Parks has 55 pitches, which is obviously something we'll need to keep in mind. Louisiana does have Shrewd Nixon, who is the only A-rated pitcher. He's an A-, but all the other relief pitchers we have in the series are in the C range. So Louisiana will almost certainly pull in Shrewd Nixon here at probably a relatively early point. But I think Shrewd Nixon actually pitched some last game, which will mean he'll also come in with some stamina. Nielsen gets it over for the second out.
Nope, that's high.
The ball gets fouled right over the first base line. And that one also goes foul. O'Connor was able to dive over for it, and that one then gets popped right by the pitcher. Bradley gets it to Nielsen. And Iowa, David Macho Man steps up again here. He does have Rojas over there on first. You can just tell David Macho Man is looking to pad his stat line if possible. He does have 2 strikes to 0 balls, though. Ball gets pitched high. That one was low, and Macho Man swung at it. Louisiana is going to be kind of in their middle of their pack when it comes to their batting talent here. Stewart is their 5th in their batting order. He, in the regular season, had a .279 average. So we've said this, especially if you watch back to game 1, but this Louisiana team really did focus on their pitching. The 3 batters that are anticipated for this inning. So Stewart, Bradley, and McMaster in the regular season total 5 home runs. So this Louisiana team needs to just get some nice singles, doubles, and get these players around the bases. And that will work out for them. Bradley there did get walked, so Melissa McMaster, once again, is going to be put in this situation that so far she has struggled in this series. That one gets popped, but it does land foul.
That's high.
3 balls, 2 strikes. They're thinking that Bradley might take off, which he absolutely could. He has that Steeler trait. Oh, McMaster gets walked. And this is the exact type of situation that Louisiana could definitely benefit from. Especially right now with only 1 out, but that ball gets popped up. And Macho Man has the arm that you have to assume they're not going to try anything funny here. Bobby Hughes, again, a batter that has struggled so far. He is their designated hitter, though, and with 5 home runs in the regular season, was 5th on this team for home runs, but lines out to the shortstop. Now, here is where this will get interesting. So Jalen Parks will probably start really getting her stamina impacting her stats during this inning. Louisiana, knowing that this is an elimination match, will almost certainly pull her before she reaches, 90 pitches. George Wynn hit that home run earlier. He's 2 for 2 today. And his stats are actually right up there with Macho Man. They're not as pretty, he only has 1 home run, only 2 RBIs, but absolutely great overall stats. And it looks like Louisiana actually kind of pitched around him there. See, Louisiana's thinking that maybe going for a double play here might have been better than pitching into him, especially with Avery here as the batter. But Avery says, I've struggled so far this game, and I'm going to make you guys pay for that decision. And Iowa now is really getting a lead that is going to be very hard for Louisiana to come back from. Louisiana is not a high-scoring team. And here we go. Louisiana is now going to start pulling in their relief pitchers. Frederick has struggled, though. He's come in at least one other game. He might have come in 2 other games. And he just has not had luck. And that ball gets popped and just over the first baseman. And it takes a slow roll to the corner, but it is still limited to a single.
That's down. No, inside.
That ball gets hit, and that's going to put Iowa with player on first and second here with only 1 out. Shiny Nicholson is now going to step up with very decent position here, and they're also going up against Frederick, who is a C- relief pitcher. That ball is going to definitely fall. It didn't have the distance, but that's going to get them at least 1 run. And they have a player on second and third. RJ Park, one of the few players on Iowa that really has gotten nothing going this series so far. Starts things off with 2 strikes. And he does strike out. Riley Rojas does have that RBI dud negative trait, which Frederick will probably try to take advantage of here as he hopes to get out of this inning without giving up another run. Rogers hits it over, and they are able to end that inning. But Iowa has put on the 5-run lead now, and Louisiana is going to need to get something going. Here we go. Hunter Rogers, who started this game out with the home run and gave Louisiana a 1-run lead, is going to start us off.
Inside.
And he does get a very nice hit. Now, David Macho Man does have the speed and the arm. You know, with a lot of other teams, that would have almost certainly been a double. But this Iowa team is so dominant in the field. They have a lot of good speed and arm talent. Here we go. Nielsen
Ball, that's up.
cranked that first ball foul.
Ball, outside.
Now Max is going to start getting impacted slightly by his stamina. And they're going to get a grounder. Macho Man is definitely going to limit that to a single, but Louisiana 0 outs has a player on first and second. Case here is going to step up. He has struggled a bit this series.
Inside.
But this is a situation where, this could almost be their season. They still have a couple of innings, but this is a very good situation for them. Three balls, 2 strikes. Case does have that whiff for trait. Uh-oh. That's going to result in a double play. Ooh, that is rough. But Charles O'Connor is going to be their batter here, and he does have that player over on third. Watches the first pitch, which was high. Saw that one coming back over the plate. 2 balls, 1 strike. Nice grounder that will get Louisiana a run. So Louisiana brings this down to a 4-run game, which is very important. They have O'Connor now over on first, and William Stewart has a very nice contact bar. And that ball gets away from the catcher. And Louisiana now has O'Connor over in scoring position on second. And let's see, that ball gets popped. Does it have the distance? Macho Man catches it right at the wall. So Louisiana was able to put up 1 point, so that this limits it now to a 4-run game. But Iowa starts off with David Macho Man. And with Louisiana's situation here, I'll be honest, I would expect them to pull Frederick pretty quickly. Grounder Nielsen will get Macho Man out. You just see Macho Man's speed. I mean, that a lot of players would be like halfway to first. He was almost at the bag by the time that got over.
Ball, that's inside.
Escargot knows that this is going to be right over the middle, and he does swing at it. It's caught by Stewart there in right field. George Wynn, once again, great game so far. He knows that this is definitely a pitcher that he should swing at. And there he knows he gets it. Bradley does field it in center field, so it's limited to a single. Mr. Avery again was struggling in this series, but made his presence known as he extended the lead last time he was up to bat. And look at that. That ball is also drilled. Let's see. And he hits a second home run. Oh, he just proved why he is on this starting lineup. Through the first 3 games, really was struggling. He is, let me find him here, he is a C+ player. So one of those players that you definitely could see potentially benched for one of the 4 bench players. And you have to assume this is Frederick's final pitches here. Uh-oh. Oh, and Iowa takes another home run. Frederick has just given up so many hits and home runs as a relief pitcher. And I'm going to be honest, a 7-run lead for Louisiana is probably... a 7-run lead for Iowa is probably going to be insurmountable for Louisiana. Finnegan Bentley has been brought in to try to end this inning, and they do get it. Louisiana now has 3 innings to try to get at least 7 points on the board. Slow grounder. Escargot barehands it and does get the first out. There we go. Max is going to be switched out for Fisher. Fisher, when he came in the past, he's also struggled quite a bit. But with a 7-run lead, you have to assume that that's enough of a cushion that even bringing in a not-so-great performer, he gives up 7 runs. That will be crazy. This Iowa team really has probably the worst. I would say that they almost certainly have the worst relief pitching in this tournament. So they get out of that inning very quickly. Iowa now is going to have Shiny Nixon and RJ Park to start things off here. That ball gets popped. It's going to be right in that area where players may call each other off, but it is caught by Rogers. RJ Park. Slow grounder over to first for out 2. Bradley Rojas. Grounds it over to third.
Go inside.
O'Connor catches a line drive over there at third. And here we go, Louisiana. They have 6 outs. They need to get at least 7 runs. Going to be starting things out here with Bobby, who is their designated hitter. Has struggled in this series. So far, I just watched every pitch. There, he hits one foul. And he just gets caught dead. Hunter Rogers started Louisiana out today with that home run, hoping to get things going in their favor. We've just seen this game slip away from Louisiana. He does keep things going there. He gets a nice hit out of center field, but he's limited again to that single as David Macho Man is just a complete island out there, right? I mean, any ball that's hit in that general area is probably going to be limited to a single, which is very different compared to a lot of other teams we've watched. And this is going to be a grounder resulting in a double play. Iowa is now 3 outs away from cementing their spot in the round of 8 and potentially giving us our first, potentially only 4-0 series. David Macho Man will start off this inning. Macho Man is getting these pitch counts up, which I'll be honest, at this point, with this score and everything, the pitch count, I don't even see it really mattering, right? I mean, Louisiana's going to have 3 outs to make a miracle happen. So their main thing now is just limit this to 7 runs and see if they can make something happen. Bentley does get pulled here for Williamson. Williamson did pitch well the other time that he was brought in. With the poor pitching that we have on both of these teams, Williamson is a designated closing pitcher. He's only a C+, but you wouldn't see on most other teams in this tournament. Mr. Avery has had a killer game, and he's going to continue his killer game with another hit. Keith has also been great today, 3 for 3. That's a grounder. Wilson will field it and end the inning. So Louisiana, going into the top of the 9th, they have 3 outs. They have to score at least 7 runs. They're going to be starting things off here with a player in RO16 who has struggled so far. Starts off with 2 strikes. His whiffers stat or trait comes into play. That ball gets popped. Will it go into the stands? It does not. So Zoe catches that. Here we go, Charles O'Connor. Even if Louisiana gets eliminated here, Charles O'Connor would love to have his name cemented in this tournament's history with another home run. 2 strikes, 3 balls, and O'Connor gets walked. William Stewart will be stepping up. The regular season, he only had 2 home runs. And he's batting over his regular season batting average, but here we go. Louisiana does get 2 players on, and they only have 1 out currently. Francis Bradley has been playing very well so far. 2 balls, 1 strike. 3 balls. That ball gets hit, but Macho Man's going to be able to get over there in time, record the second out. And here we go with 1 out until Iowa locks in, and McMaster actually gets pulled here from Pierce Bessie. The regular season, Bessie only came into 13 games. In those 13 games, he did bat at .277, but starts things off here with 2 strikes. Ball gets fouled. Slow grounder. That is more than likely going to be out, and it is. Iowa brings in this series at 4-0. And we will, this is the first 4-0 series we've seen. Who knows if we'll see another one in this tournament. But Iowa comes in and causes a big upset here. I think it's very interesting just that Iowa and Louisiana were basically 2 polar opposite teams. Iowa, this really good batting team, led teams in home runs, but had the worst pitching that this tournament has. Louisiana, on the flip side of that, not a great batting team, but a very good, not the best, but a very good pitching staff. So Iowa will walk out of here with a quick series, winning at 4-0. Let's take a look at the box score for this game. You can see, once again, and if you go back to the other games, you'll see the same thing. Louisiana just was able to get a lot of hits and a lot of players on, but they were not able to convert that into runs, which is what really matters. In terms of MVP of the game, I do think that Avery actually is going to be in the talks here. He had 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, and also had 4 hits on his 5 at-bats. After struggling in this series, great game. The only other player that I think will potentially go up against that is the starting pitcher, Max, here, but I think Avery is the clear option as far as I'm concerned. There we go. Avery does get MVP of the game. George Wynn also had a fantastic game, as did Alfonso Heath. So Iowa, once again, just proving that dominant hitting. Now, since this did wrap up the series, we're going to take a moment to look at overall series MVPs. So, in terms of overall MVP of this series, the game actually gives it to starting pitcher Freya Hull, who, as a reminder, in the regular season was basically non-existent. In the regular season, she had 0 wins as a starter, almost an 8 ERA, and literally pitched less than an inning per game she started. I have the feeling that she was injured, but I'm not 100% sure. Either way, though, she came in, and as you can see there, threw a lights-out performance for Iowa in Game 3, and that really helped cement their wins in this series. After her, we have Alfonso Heath and David Macho Man and George Wynn, who all 3 of these players are prime examples of the players that make Iowa so scary in terms of scoring. As we go through the round of 8, whoever Iowa ends up playing, you would probably expect these 3 names to appear near the top of this list again. If the team that they go up against in the future is able to limit those 3 players' abilities, then the other team might stand a chance at winning. And then we will talk about just the 5th slot here in Charles O'Connor, the only player in the top 5 from Louisiana. He was their A-plus third baseman and a player that, really had to put this team potentially on his back in order to carry them through a high-scoring opponent like this. And just was not able to make it happen despite having a very, very solid series himself. So with that, we will be saying goodbye to Louisiana in this tournament. Main names from Louisiana. We have Frank Ali, their S-rated starting pitcher, who actually had a very solid Game 1, but Iowa was able to come out on top of that one as well. Their relief pitcher in Shrewd Nixon. And then out in the field and batting, we have Charles O'Connor. Edward Nielsen, Hunter Rogers, William Stewart, and a lot of other names that we will no longer be seeing. So with that, goodbye to Louisiana, Iowa, welcome to the round of 8, and I'll be seeing you guys for the next series.